Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking all about my spring wardrobe wear count, or essentially the 10 items that I wore the most throughout spring. And I do have a bonus item just because for me it's not actually a spring piece, but I wore it quite a lot because the weather was significantly cooler when I went home to Wellington for a bit of a trip to visit my family. So I'm going to dive in with two slip skirts, and actually I want to talk about one which I am so torn about, and I feel like I've talked about this quite a few times, but it is my Realization Par Naomi Wild Things leopard print skirt. So this is what it looks like. It is a silk slip skirt, and I talked about this skirt for so long because I had a dupe for it and I had wanted to invest in the real thing, but obviously it is a bit of a splurge. It is over 200 Australian dollars. I managed to buy mine during one of their 25 or 30% off sales, which made it a little bit more reasonable. However, the only disadvantage with that, or should I say the major disadvantage with that, is that you cannot return it. You can only exchange it for another size or for store credit. So you kind of add a couple $100 if you don't end up liking the item. So one thing to be cautious of when they do run their discount codes, because I definitely got caught by that. So when I initially pulled this out of the packet, I was so unimpressed. I was very, very disappointed by the quality. It looked very cheap. It was in a very cheap plastic package, and the quality of the silk didn't look very nice. And it is relatively thin, not as thin as the Eggy dress, but it's not as thick or as sumptuous as I'd sort of expected it to be, particularly given how much I'd seen other people rave about this particular skirt. That being said, oh, and I do have another issue with the sides. It does pucker. I have had a suggestion to get a zip put in, which will help to have it fit or tailored perfectly to my body. But being in my third trimester of pregnancy at the moment, there's really no point doing that until after the baby arrives, and I am kind of at, I would say, my normal weight, or within my normal weight range. So yeah, that being said, I love the fact that it's got an elasticated waistband. I find that really fantastic. I actually went with the size small because I was in between sizes. I do have quite wide hips but a very narrow waist, and it does say size up if you are in between sizes, and I'm very glad I did because I'm still able to wear this. In my third trimester, it still fits me. It's not too tight or anything like that. I am almost at the point where I maybe would have to pull it on over my head, but I have found it still fits me reasonably well, although it's probably not as flattering on my behind because I have to wear it quite high up these days just to accommodate my bump. The thing I really like about the skirt, and this is why I'm so torn, is the print and the way that it flips out at the hem. And I found myself wearing it so much because it is a gorgeous skirt. I just don't really think it is worth the price. I think if it's something you're going to wear lots, then I would say go, by all means, go for it and splurge. If you do have the budget for it, then go for it. But if you are on a budget and you are thinking really carefully about where you invest in your wardrobe and how you spend your money, you may want to consider getting a dupe for this. And I have found one from Aqua. I will leave it linked in the description box below, which has loads of great reviews. So that is probably a very good alternative if you really like this, but you can't extend your budget that far. So yeah, that one I wore 10 times over spring, and I have to say spring was a bit of a funny one because at the very start of spring I could still fit my old jeans and now that we are into summer, I definitely cannot fit my old jeans. I had to put them all away. My body has changed so much over the last 3 months, so I found that I have worn a lot of my wardrobe, but I haven't worn loads of different items consistently. So the wears on these pieces, which I have worn the most this month, are pretty low. So do keep that in mind, that this is a little bit unusual and it's not kind of how I would say a typical spring month would go. I suspect my J. Crew white denim skirt would have been in here if I was still able to fit it. The other skirt that I wanted to mention is another slip skirt, and it's basically the same sort of style, but this one is a little bit longer. It's from MVN, the label, and it's just a black one, and this was quite affordable. I got this because I was after sort of a satin or silk look skirt. I really wanted to try out the trend and see if it was something that I could really incorporate into my wardrobe and have as more of a I guess, all year round type of piece. And having bought this more inexpensive one, I can say yes for sure. This one I wore 7 times over spring, and again it was just very easy to throw on with a little black cami or a fitted tank or something like that. I just found it looked very, very chic. Often it would look like I was wearing a dress, which I loved, or else I could throw a big knit on as well. And I do like the length. It has that really nice elasticated waistband, which is perfect if you are expecting like I am. Definitely makes a world of difference. I will say I'm not 100% loving the quality of this though. I have noticed that it has started to pill up a little bit, and it's just not washing that well. I do throw this in a delicates bag in the washing machine on a cold cycle. But yeah, so ultimately I can kind of tell that this is something that isn't going to have a really long shelf life in my wardrobe, just because the quality isn't up to par, and I can see myself really wearing this out the more that I reach for it. But I do otherwise love it, and I think it's been a really great staple for me. Just a good classic black slip skirt, and I will link some alternatives to this because this one is an older one that is no longer available, and like I said, I probably wouldn't recommend this particular skirt, but I'm wearing this in a 8 and it still fits me, which is nothing short of a miracle, I have to say. So next I want to talk about a t-shirt, and I have found myself wearing a lot of tees just tucked into anything that is high-waisted or anything that sort of sits over my bump. And this one from Frame has been the one that I've worn the most, should I say. I really love the fit of this. It is so nice and oversized. I actually bought this pre-loved by The Real, so I did get it for a very good price, because I do find that Frame ready to wear can be very expensive, but it's just a nice light grey colour. The fabric is really nice and soft. Unfortunately, this is an older style, so the closest that I have found is this one from Cezanne. It doesn't have the same sort of stretch to it, but it is pretty similar in terms of shape. It's just a little bit shorter. So I would say that's actually one of the reasons why I really like this t-shirt, is that it is very long. It covers my bump really comfortably, and yeah, it's just been a really easy throw on piece. I can knot it at the waist if I want, and it still holds its shape, hasn't twisted or anything. And I've worn this one 6 times over the spring. I'm going to end with shoes, just because I think out of everything they're the items that I've really worn the most. So let's do a dress next, which you may have seen a number of times if you follow me on Instagram, which if you don't, it's Mademoiselle Gem, and I will have a little picture up here. It's linked down in the description box below if you do want to go follow me there for more outfit ideas and things like that. But this is a little gingham dress from Karen Walker, and I actually bought this pre-loved again from eBay for such a good price. I sized up to a size 12 just because I wanted something that was really roomy and that I would be able to wear for hopefully all of the pregnancy. And what I love about this is that from some angles you can't tell that I am pregnant, or that there is a bump hidden underneath all of the fabric, which is great. Has this sort of like handkerchief detail down the sides. It also has hidden pockets, which is lovely. The only thing I would say is that I wish that the armholes were a little bit higher up. So I do wear a nude coloured bandeau or something like that underneath, just to protect my modesty. But the tie, there's a tie here so you can adjust the neckline, which is really handy. And this one I have also worn 6 times, and it's just such an easy summer piece. I love things like this, and gingham to me always signifies sort of spring summer wardrobe, which I absolutely love. The next item on my rail is knitwear. It's an alpaca sweater from Everlane, and I have talked about this before. Actually, when I tried out their alpaca sweaters for the first time, when they launched them, must have been last year, I was really hard on the sweater, because I remember watching all the stories and thinking, oh, they said it's so soft, it's like a cloud, and then when it arrived, it didn't really feel the way I had built it up in my head. And I think that's one of the things that you get when you're shopping online versus being able to sort of feel and experience textures and fibers in person when you're in a store. But I will say that I have noticed that there are differences between the charcoal grey one that I've got and this very pale oat almond coloured one, which I would say I prefer this one. This one actually doesn't itch me at all, whereas the charcoal one I find does get a little bit itchy, but you can put a thermal or something underneath if you do have very sensitive skin. If you do have very sensitive skin, I would actually recommend the cashmere rib sweater, which is in the same style as this essentially, but it just has less of a, I guess I would say just less texture to it. But this is so nice and oversized. It fits my bump, which is great. I got my usual size, which is a size small, and I wore this one 6 times. This really came in handy when I went to New Zealand. It was sort of what I wore on the plane. It was what I wore when I was cold. I just sort of threw this on. I actually took very summery pajamas with me, and I would throw this on in the morning just to keep the rest of my body nice and toasty. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and I absolutely adore the color. I just think these sort of very I guess very muted neutrals are just such a lovely alternative to black during the colder months. Now the next item I want to talk about, I have currently hanging on the washing line because I have been wearing it quite a bit. It is one of the few maternity pieces that I purchased, and it's just a black plain stretch skirt from ASOS. I really like the way that this fits. It isn't an overly thick material, but it was very inexpensive in terms of the price, and it's something that I found it's washed really well. I haven't really noticed any pilling or anything like that. I wore it 8 times, and it's just classic, just very easy to throw on. It works with everything on my wardrobe, and I'm kind of anticipating it'll be something that I'll be able to wear for a little bit after baby arrives as well. The other maternity item that I wanted to mention, which I wore quite a bit considering that it gets really hot. I mean, we've had days where it's been 37, 38 degrees in Sydney throughout spring. So the fact that I even was able to wear jeans is nothing short of a miracle again. But I did wear these quite a bit when I was in New Zealand. These are the maternity skinny crop jeans from Jeans West. So I've been recommended to buy maternity jeans from Jeans West, and the reason being that they are very nice and stretchy. They're a thick denim but not too thick, and they feel very comfortable, and they have both over the bump and under the bump styles. These ones obviously go under the bump, so you tuck things into them, which I personally prefer. I like being able to have that option of wearing something loose or wearing something tucked in. And I haven't really found that I had any issues with needing support, but then again, this is my first pregnancy, and I suspect if I had another one, I'd probably be a lot bigger, and I might want to have, you know, that belly band just to support my stomach. But I've really enjoyed wearing these. They do have a bit of distressing on them, so you might see that there is a couple of rips there, also on the other leg, and that is probably my only bugbear with these jeans. I don't particularly like jeans with distressing on the legs. I don't mind if they've got a raw edge hem. I actually really like that. I think it's kind of cool and it adds a bit of detail, but distressing anywhere else, it just, I don't know, I find it really fussy. So I found myself continuously pulling them up because when I would sit down, the jean would sort of slip a little bit on my leg, and it just wasn't comfortable. When I was wearing them at home, my yarn was saying to me, "Oh, do you like those rips?" And I said, "No, I actually want to sew them up." But Luke told me to leave them as is, and she could tell just the way that I would fuss at them every single time I sat down that I just found them really infuriating. So I actually think I will stitch them up. But these, again, something I bought because I thought that would be great to wear both now and then when baby arrives, while I'm sort of transitioning back into my usual jeans, fingers crossed. These I got in the Australian size 8, and they're a really good fit on me. I also got the boyfriend style, which are really comfortable, and they are a bit baggier through the leg, and those I got in the 8 as well. I did do a video where I talked about all my new additions and things like that, which I will link up here if you would like to go and watch. But in terms of how many times I wore these, let me just quickly double check. I wore these 8 times, and I'm so sorry if you can hear someone mowing their lawn. They've just started now. Just my luck. But yeah, they have been really fantastic, and I'm really pleased with the quality of the denim, and they wash well as well. I've thrown these in the wash a couple of times, and I haven't really noticed that there's been too much additional fraying or anything like that. The next thing I want to mention are these slip-on sandals. These are from Everly, and they're sort of like a wide strap sandal. I've talked about this many times, but I have very wide feet, and I also have a bunion on my left foot. So shoes that are made from soft leather and that can accommodate a wider foot, or you know, that aren't too tight across the foot, is something that I often look for, because I don't want to be uncomfortable, and any extra pressure that you apply to a bunion can actually make it worse. So I've had it since I was 14. It's just gotten, you know, slowly gotten worse as I've gotten older. But these have been fantastic. The leather on them is so soft, it is ridiculous. I actually wear these a lot around the house just because they're very easy to slip on. They're very lightweight as well because they've just got a rubber sole. The one thing I will say about them though is because they do have a hard leather upper sole, they don't really give you a lot of arch support. Well, they don't have any arch support at all. So if you are planning on doing a lot of walking, these are probably not ideal, just because you probably want to wear something that is going to cushion your foot a bit more, and these don't really offer that. But for something where you're doing light walking, or you're just kind of wanting an easy sandal to wear down to the beach or something like that, these are perfect, and they aren't too expensive either. They come in a few different colors. There's a really lovely sort of latte neutral hue, which I think is gorgeous. But yeah, the black, easy, classic, goes with absolutely everything, and really comfortable, easy to slip on. Oh, and I can't remember if I mentioned, but I wore those 19 times. The next pair of shoes are my Vanelli two-tone pumps. I've talked about these quite a few times in recent videos. I did a video talking about the 10 shoes that I couldn't live without, which I'm going to link up here, and these were the first ones that I mentioned. I adore these shoes. They're a dupe for the Chanel two-tone pumps, and I just think that these are fantastic. I don't really think you need to splurge on the designer version, because these do the trick. They have a really nice low heel, which is comfortable and easy to walk in. I wore these ones 11 times over the spring. I just really love the color combination, and I think it lends itself really well to those lighter neutrals, and also works really nicely with denim as well. So love them. I got them my usual size, which is a US 9 or a European 40. The Everline ones I wear in a US 9.5. I will have all my sizing info in the description box though, in case that is helpful for you guys. The final pair of shoes I wanted to mention are from MNZ, and I keep trying to learn how to pronounce her name, but honestly it's futile, so I'm just gonna say MNZ. They are the Palmer sandals in the low block heel. I've got them in the black, and I got very lucky to snap these up on sale. I think I got them for around 50% off, and I am so pleased with them. I'd had these on my wish list for a couple of years, and being able to actually find them in a color that I liked and in the exact heel height that I liked for a really good price was just it just was fate. So I decided to splurge on them. Her shoes are very expensive, but they're also very comfortable. I've got another pair as well, and they are in a suede too, and they are just such a nice soft suede. They don't give me any blisters at all. Despite the fact that I do have that wider foot and the bunion, I do find that these little straps at the front here kind of move around so that I don't have to worry and it doesn't pinch or pull or anything. And yeah, just very easy, simple to walk around in. These ones I wore 7 times over the spring, and just a really nice little sandal to reach for if I want to dress up my outfit a little bit. And then, as I mentioned, the final item I wanted to talk about is a coat, and this is a bonus item, number 11, and it is this beautiful OT camel beige coloured coat from Mute by JL. Now you may recall I have a sort of a more warmer, brighter camel coat from Mute by JL, which I wore so much in 2018. It was probably one of my most worn coats of the season, I would say. And I adore that. It's got the most interesting, unique shape, and it's ruched at the back. And that's one of the things I love about their designs, is that they're things that you won't find anywhere else, which is really great if you want something that is a bit more unique and a bit more special. This one here I loved for the colour, because I just thought it was really neutral, very easy to pair with my wardrobe, and a little bit different to anything else that I had. But also I loved the double-breasted nature of it, and the fact that it is also really oversized and kind of has that Scandinavian vibe, which is something I tend to look for a bit when it comes to any of those staple pieces in my closet. There's something I see myself wearing a lot next year in autumn winter, just because the color, the shape, everything is so perfect. It is very soft, and it is so warm. Whenever I put this on, I mean, I wore this a lot in Wellington, and it was very windy during the time that I was there. It was around 14 to 17 degrees, which to me is winter weather. If you live somewhere colder, it's not going to be winter weather at all, I'm sure. It'd probably be more like autumn weather for you. But living in Sydney, our winters are very mild. But I found that this was perfect. No wind cut through it at all, which was amazing. And yeah, I just felt so warm. I felt so chic in this, and I can still button it up. Even though I'm in my 3rd trimester, it buttons up over the bump. So love that. It is such a beautiful, well-made coat. All of their coats are made by hand as well, and they're designed in San Francisco, which is really cool. So yeah, that is the other item that I wore a lot, which if I hadn't gone to New Zealand probably wouldn't have gotten as much love this month. So those are my most worn items for spring. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I would love to know if you guessed any of these pieces and what you have been wearing a lot over the previous season. I will see you guys again next time with a brand new video. Thank you again for watching and see you soon. Bye!